Hello, love bugs, and welcome back or welcome to your new favorite show, your very own modern day Gossip Girl, brought to you by yours truly. I'm so excited to have you back for our final episode of the season. Today's episode I did save for last, not only because it will be highly controversial, but also because it is our first letter, at least that I know of, that is being sent from out of the country. I did mention that this episode, to me at least, feels highly controversial, maybe because it might be the first time I gotta give a sender some tough love, maybe have a few disagreements, but maybe it's also just because it's a best friend breakup, and those always feel 10 times as deep, as serious, as dramatic to me. I'm too excited to wait much longer, so let's just go ahead and jump into it. I did already mention this is going from one best friend to another, and the sender is 16. 16. So please, before forming any opinions, take that into consideration. We all know how difficult 16 is to navigate, and as a girl, we know how difficult those friendships are to navigate. Our sender wants to know, is she wrong for feeling dismissed by her closest friend that she's ever had because her friend was constantly ill? Now, I know you may already be forming opinions, but our sender says she just wants to be heard. And as I've said before, I want this to be a safe space for many different types of people, many different types of stories, and that's why we're here. And she's 16, so be nice. Our sender met her ex-best friend, or maybe let's just say old best friend, 2 years ago in school. She doesn't give us really anything about her first impression of her, but she does give us a lot of background to set the scene. If you've listened to other episodes, you'll know that usually I speak about the background. I pause every now and then to give my thoughts and my opinions, and then I'll read the letter, and then I'll stop some more to give, kind of my 2 cents about everything. This time I'm going to go about it differently. I'm going to read everything, and then at the very end, you will hear my insights. Before we get to know the story, we have to get to know our sender. She writes, I'm from the Ukraine and escaped to Ireland some years back. So when I went to school here, Ireland, everything was very foreign. We didn't become friends immediately, but one event brought us together and we started getting closer. She basically taught me English by practice. It was a type of friendship where you get really close really fast, especially in the beginning of the relationship. We bonded by me helping her move to a new home when she was kicked out of her last one. So it definitely brought us together, but it's also just how frequently and how much we spent time together that we kind of just naturally drifted to get closer. Our sender continues on to say, we, or at least I, wanted to move to Germany together after high school and live together. She's German herself, the old best friend. We wanted to study in university and get married so I could easily get a passport. But recently, I started noticing more of her odd behaviors, which really were always a thing, but it's amplified in the last few months. She had moved to a new school, and of course I supported her for everything because she had been through a lot of stuff. And that's why I was always there for her, because I wanted to be a good friend. Because I thought if I was going to be a good friend, if I were in trouble, she would help me out too. Or at least I was comforted by the idea of being there for someone when really, I guess I just wanted someone to be there for me. So here's a quick run through of the major points that had been bothering me and had bubbled up recently. Number one, immaturity. We were always very lighthearted, but recently I wanted to talk about more serious, important stuff. Like I started getting into philosophy or reading books, and I really wanted to discuss that with her because I was passionate about that, but she just wouldn't talk with me, and that got me upset because what do you mean there's something I can't talk to you about? She didn't even care. Two, speaking of which, she was an interrupter. But recently it got seriously out of hand to the point where I'd start to say anything and get interrupted at a minimum of one sentence. I'm not exaggerating, that's how bad it was. But when I would give up and just let her talk, she'd get upset because then I was quiet. And I literally confronted her. I tried to let her know that she's seriously annoying me to the point with the fact that I can't even get a single sentence out without her interrupting me about the trivial things. She interrupted me all of the time, even when it was small. 3, ignorance. Whenever I got upset, like visually upset, she would completely ignore it. And it's not like I was trying to be subtle about it either. I would get quieter and much sadder looking. And apparently she did actually notice, because once she told me that she literally just ignored it. And that's not something you do to a friend that you care about. 4, dismissiveness about my feelings. It was really that easy. Whenever I tried to let her know that she did something or said something that upset me, she would just kind of brush it off or blame it on her being tired, and that's literally the only excuse she ever used. 5, effort. I was the only one going out of my way for her, and when I told her I wanted her to go more out of her way for me, which was an awfully vague ask for a reason, because it didn't have to be anything grand, not like the things I did for her, helped her pack all her stuff multiple times to help her move, or comforted her when she was feeling depressed or physically in pain, etc., things like that, but rather just something small, something simple, like literally just accompanying me to the store. She was over at my house for one weekend and I wanted to go buy something nice to eat, and I literally had to beg her for 20 minutes, only for me to just have to go by myself because she wouldn't come, even though she said before that she would, and then she just brushed it off saying that she was tired and that's why she didn't come. I feel really silly writing it all out, but it hurts to feel so dismissed by someone I used to care about so deeply. It's like all of these factors basically ended up to me feeling like she didn't even care. And when I tried to literally just tell her in plain simple words that I felt like she didn't care about me, all she said is, quote unquote, she does her best, or no, I do care about you. I'm sorry I made you feel that way, or anything, but literally I'm just doing my best. That's all she said. And it's not like I'm very hard to please either. I'm very easy. Just give me some attention and some care and I'll be the happiest person ever. If you have a lot of thoughts about that, so do I. But we're going to save that to the end. And for now, we're going to dive into her letter that she is sending to her old best friend, as she feels very heartbroken and dismissed. So there is a lot of emotion here. I'm going to try and convey that as accurately as possible because she put a lot of effort into this letter. She says, "My dear N, I'm so sorry that I'm furious with you. I'm seething and I don't know what to do with it. You've gotten lazy, really. You're always focused on yourself. It's always you that's good, you that's struggling. But have you ever asked me if I'm going well? No, you haven't. It's funny how quick you were to backtrack once I asked you to make some effort, because you know you need to work to keep any relationship together. And oh, I've tried. Many times I've tried to express my feelings, or rather how dismissed they are, and you wouldn't take accountability. No, you feed me the same 2 phrases every time. I'm tired and I did my best. And it's getting old fast. As soon as I tried to ask you to reciprocate some of the effort I put into our friendship, you told me to rather stop going out of my way for you, and so I did, with one last favor before doing so. My house, it was thrumming with you. Wherever I looked, it was your things, bothering me. So I did what I had to do, throw all that shit away. To your porch, that is. You know I'm not good at talking. You know that I almost physically can't voice my feelings when I need to. So when I finally bursted into tears in front of you, what did you do? Nothing. It's really funny, really, how some guy from the internet I only knew for a few weeks did a much better job of comforting me than you did. It opened my eyes. Just say you don't care. I know it must be kind of hard to not abuse this kindness of mine, or whatever you call it, but I thought you were different, and you weren't. And I'm sorry for not explaining myself, but you know everything damn well yourself, and I tried so many times after all, haven't I? I'm mad. I'm very mad at you. And it's even more maddening because I know you probably just brushed it off. It sure felt like that the last time you replied with a simple "all right" to my last message, and all it took is me taking a step back to see a better picture. Ha ha. But hey, call me sensitive if it makes you feel better. All I ever wanted for you to care. But hey, call me sensitive if it makes you feel better. All I ever wanted is for you to care as much as I do. But I suppose that was too much of an ask, so I'm just going to say it. Goodbye, my dear N. As I said before, very intense letter filled with a lot of emotion. And if there's one thing I could tell, it's that this person actually cares deeply for N and has so much love for them, but is just really tired of feeling hurt, feeling in pain, feeling used, feeling dismissed. And that's where all of this anger is coming from. It's actually hurt. And that's something to really take into account about anger. Anger is usually protecting pain. Anger is usually the shield that we use so people don't have to see what's actually hurting us, and they don't have to see us feeling weak or small. And so that's something to take into account the next time you feel angry at someone. That's something to take into account the next time you feel someone is angry at you. What is something you might have done to hurt them? What is something you might be hurting about? I have a message for this sender, and I so hope that she is listening to this right now. And I want to say, my advice to you might not be what you want to hear. However, I am saying this because I see so much of myself in you. I see extreme similarities. So please know that anything I say, I am saying it from experience, my very own experience, my very own heart, my very own emotions, my very own feelings. I am not saying this because I'm judging you. I am not saying this to hurt you. I am not saying this, with no experience and just kind of laissez-faire, okay? So, no, I'm saying it also with the most love in my heart, okay? I love you. I'm here for you. I just want to save you some of the lessons and trouble that I learned and just help you shortcut through it all, okay? So, you mentioned in your letter that she can call you sensitive if that just makes her feel better. And the truth is, you are sensitive. So am I. Sensitivity, it's truly a superpower. I wish more people were empathetic. I wish more people had the type of sensitivity we do to care about other people so deeply and to get involved in other people's problems and want to fix them and want other people to be happy around us. Don't lose your sensitivity. Don't try and harden up. Don't try and get rid of it. It's a superpower. At the same time, know that your sensitivity is not other people's responsibility. It's not other people's jobs to work around you or make sure they don't trigger your sensitivity or upset you. People should be loving. People should be empathetic. Sometimes that's not always what people are, and sometimes people are, but it feels like not enough for us, and that doesn't mean that that's their fault. It is no one else's responsibility to tiptoe around our sensitivity. We could only control ourselves and only worry about things that we could control. We can't force anybody to act a certain way, believe a certain thing, act a certain way. None of those. The only thing we could do is set better boundaries and learn how to communicate in a way that communicates our needs, our thoughts, and communicate in a way that isn't putting blame on anyone else, okay? So instead of saying, you're doing this, you're doing that, try to say, I feel like this because of X, Y, and Z that you did. In the future, if you could do this, that, the third, it would make me feel better. And the second part of that is once you say your needs, your wants, that's not just going to be the first time that you have to say it. You're going to have to remind people because habits are really hard to break. And pivoting in a friendship is really hard to do as well, especially if you've gotten set in certain ways. So you're going to have to learn forgiveness and patience when communicating your needs and your wants and the changes you want to see from people. And the third thing you have to do is if these people don't care about what you need and they're not making the changes that you need them to make, this doesn't necessarily make them a bad person or bad friend. It just might mean they're not a good friend for you and for what you need. And you have to believe that you deserve better and that you could find better, and you have to cut them off. Not with any animosity of being anti them and they really messed up, but just knowing, okay, like I've done all I could do. I've been honest about what I want. I've communicated that in a kind way. I've been patient with their changes, and I'm talking real patience, like, weeks to months of it. And they still aren't really doing anything to show that they care. They're not really putting in effort. They're not really showing that, they've taken my thoughts in and tried to apply it to their behavior. Okay, then I have to just have kind of a friendship breakup with them in a soft kind of way. It doesn't have to be, throwing their stuff on a porch. Though I get it. I've been a 16-year-old before, and it really feels that serious. And I'm not saying that it's not. Not every friendship breakup has to be like that, especially if they haven't seriously, purposefully wronged you. Another piece of advice I have for you, and the sooner you can learn this, the better. Don't do anything for anyone that you might resent later. Don't do anything for anyone that you might resent later. Teachers, bosses, corporate world, friends, boyfriends, don't do anything for recognition. Don't do anything for a pat on the back. Don't do anything so someone thinks you're a good friend or thinks you're a hard worker or thinks you're a really good girlfriend. Don't do anything to change someone's opinion of you. Do what comes naturally. And if you want to do better, then work on yourself to want those things. But don't do anything that you feel like you might hold over someone's head later and say, hey, I did this for you. I did that for you. Why aren't you doing this for me? Because at the end of the day, we could only control ourselves. It was your choice to do those things. They didn't ask you to do them. Now, if they did ask you to do them and then you're asking them for something later and they don't do that, it's like, hey, you asked me to do this. I'm asking you to do this thing. Why can't you do it? But if you were doing something out of your own free will in hopes, oh, they saw I did this, maybe they'll do this for me later. Stop. Don't do it. You're wasting your time. You could bend over backwards for people. And sometimes that builds this kind of resentment up of like, I'm doing all these things. Why don't they see I'm doing all these things? Why don't they do these things back? It's not their responsibility, okay? A book that really helped me on this is Let Them by Mel Robinson. If you've been getting more into books lately, I have some great recommendations for you, sister. Let Them by Mel Robinson. Amazing, amazing, amazing book. Order it now, I swear. And you sound like you have the same type of little diagnosis as me, a high functioning codependent, okay? Look up books by Terry Cole. She's a psychotherapist. She worked in talent, like scouting and agency and management for a really long time. Realized she felt really unfulfilled. Went and became an amazing therapist. She has a book, Too Much and Boundary Boss. You and me, we got the same thing, sister, going on. I want to say I've healed it. It sounds like you're discovering it right now. These books will just teach you how to do things for yourself without the expectation of what others will and can do for you. And when you actually start focusing more on yourself, not in a selfish way, like not being unkind to others, but just what your actual needs are and making sure you get them met by the people around you or by the things you do for yourself, your comfortability and confidence will build, and that will actually bring more people to gravitate towards you and want to take care of you and want to be around you. Try to be the same person you would be 100% of the time, whether someone's watching or not watching. Act as if no behavior or act you did was ever going to get recognition. What would you still do? And if you don't like that person that would do nothing if it wasn't going to get recognition, focus on that. Don't focus on the other people, Same concept I'll repeat over and over and over again. Focus on yourself, don't focus on others. Another thing, and I could be completely wrong about this, but you have gone through a lot for your age, and it sounds like your friend has as well. But because of what you've gone through, you've probably become very mature for your age, and adults probably recognize that, and that probably feels good. And sometimes, because we are mature for our age, we can look down on others around us that aren't as mature. You mentioned wanting to get into more important topics like philosophy and, reading more books that you wanted to talk to your friend about. And it's not bad that you're mature for your age, but at the same time, you're 16, and I know 44-year-olds that don't want to talk about philosophy, that don't want to talk about any type of self-evolution, and they don't want to talk about introspection at all, and they just want to talk about immature, surface-level topics. And truthfully, that's okay, because everyone is going to find things they like, things that interest them, and then a group of people that support that. So your friend doesn't have to be a friend for everything. We have different friends for different reasons. Some friends we go out with, some friends we have deep talks with, some friends we cook with, some friends we do crafts with. So this friend, even though she's your best friend and you have done everything with her together, you could have other friends that you talk about with philosophy with. And that way you aren't placing so many responsibilities on this other friend. You aren't spreading the friendship too thin. The second thing is you shouldn't have to be as mature as you are. You probably had to grow up a lot quicker. You probably had somewhat of a childhood taken from you, and that could be really hard. And it could be hard when you have so much identity and maturity, and it could be hard to let go of that. And I understand it's hard to just let yourself be 16 and be a little bit careless and surface level, because you feel like you have to keep growing up to be special, to be viewed in a high light. And I understand that you want a friend to support that, but not everyone's growth is the same. Not everyone's journey is the same. And I remember 16, that's when I really started figuring out what I cared about in this world, and which issues were really important to me to talk about. And it is so honorable that you are caring more about the world and wanting to make a change and make a difference. But this is a lifelong journey. You're going to be learning forever, and everyone's journey starts at a different time for a different reason. So you just have to let it take its course and take its path and worry about yours. Truthfully, I think your friend N did care about you, and it's probably hard to lose a friend. But from what I can see from this background, from this letter, it sounds like she might have been feeling a little bit pressured, or smothered is not a positive connotation type of word, but just feeling a little bit crowded with the expectations you have of her. And she probably felt like she wasn't able to be herself around you. And that is also very hard when you feel like you aren't good enough for a friend, or you feel like you're constantly being judged by a friend, or you feel like you can't do and say the things that you want to do and say, or you feel like you can't pick what you guys want to do with the time, and you feel like your friend is just calling all the shots and micromanaging you. That also is extremely hurtful. So you guys have both faced hurt, and I think it is important for you to recognize and realize that your friend probably isn't taking pleasure in all of your pain, and she probably isn't happy that she caused it. She's also just dealing with this friendship breakup, kind of for the first time, and learning how to go about it and how to be a young adult. So have forgiveness for her, have forgiveness for yourself, and don't just focus on what she did wrong. Focus on things you could change as well, so that you could prevent this situation from happening in the future. But know that I love you, and you aren't too young to be here. And I truly want, like I said, I want this podcast to be a cozy little corner of the internet, a safe space you could come back to and be your full self and not have to wear a mask for, and, not fear getting judged. I'm so glad you wrote something in, and thank you for coming to me, and thank you for listening. I hope that my advice didn't come off as too harsh. And like I said, it is from my own experience, I promise. Well, if anything changes, let me know. Feel free to DM me if this story has inspired you to send in something of your own. And I hope it has, listeners, because season 3 is coming out next week. Go ahead and check out the Linktree link below, or go to the Instagram Dear X One Last Thing and click on the link in bio. If you enjoyed this episode, if you enjoyed the show, if you enjoy me, like, share, subscribe, follow, do one of those things. It helps me out. It helps the algorithm out. It helps the show out. And it really encourages me to keep going. Anyways, I love you guys. I can't believe how far we've come, how many stories we've heard. And I'm so excited for what the future brings us. Okay, until next time, I love you guys. Don't text your ex. Text me instead. Love me a rose.